What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Football Talk with Xavier. My name's Xavier, and let's jump into the film on Ashton Jeanty to see, is Ashton Jeanty a bust, or is he just on a terrible franchise with a terrible offensive line? Let's jump right into the film. As always, we're going to let every play run through, and then we're going to break them down. Here we're going to see Ashton Jeanty lined up in the backfield, take a pretty good run right here against the Washington Commanders, all things considered. Let's break it down from the end zone view and look and see why I think Ashton Jeanty's been struggling so much this year, barely even averaging 3 yards per carry. Obviously here we're going to pause it. Ashton Jeanty's got what looks to be a counter here, right? I hope this is a counter play at least, because if it isn't, then this is a bad read by him. And the reason I say that is because if we look here, we're going to notice that Ashton Jeanty has a pretty big gap to run through here. If he would have kept this straight, one-on-one with Bobby Wagner in the gap with his offensive lineman's going to make that play every single time, right? Hopefully. And then Ashton Jeanty will have a pretty big running lane. But what Ashton Jeanty does here is he instead, we're going to go back, and we're going to bounce this outside. Now we could hit this gap, but obviously our offensive lineman may not do a great job on Louver here, or we can take this outside and have our one-on-one matchup with the corner. And that's what Ashton Jeanty's going to do here. But watch, his O-line is going to get blown up right in front of his face. Geno Smith is doing a great job trying to make a block for us, but it really doesn't hit. And Ashton Jeanty makes the most out of this situation, right? This is something that if Ashton Jeanty was just a complete bust, it would be a wasted play. But that's not actually what it is. Instead, Ashton Jeanty makes the most of it with pretty good blocking, right? I'd love to know what the play call there is, what he's being taught on a day-to-day basis, whether to bounce that out to that C gap like he did, or if he's just supposed to take that up the A gap like I would personally want him to, just hoping that your offensive line can win that one-on-one with Bobby Wagner. Now we're going to look at another huge run of his. Now Geno Smith is going to motion him down. We're going to have a 12 personnel set right here. Ashton Jeanty, obviously the only running back on the field, and he makes the most of the yards they get him. Runs downhill like he typically does. Makes a great play right there. So let's look at it. Obviously, our quarterback is under center to start the play. I believe Geno backs up like he does here and gets into shotgun. We're immediately behind him, which tells me that we're going to run an inside zone play right here. Looks like inside zone split because we see our tight end come from this side of the field and get over here. And what Ashton Jeanty is going to ultimately do is use his vision, break the arm tackle, and then make a great play in the running game, right? Put that head down, run a corner over. This is the type of stuff that we would expect to see from Ashton Jeanty, and that's exactly what we're seeing, right? So, to me, I'm a little bit confused why people are calling Ashton Jeanty a bust. Obviously, it's because he was a number 6 overall pick in the draft. Everyone was expecting him to lead the league in rushing this year as a rookie for no reason at all, personally. And what people aren't realizing is that this Raiders offensive line isn't typically opening up gaps like they did here. Really, he's been touched in the backfield on 57% of his rush attempts. Ashton Jeanty has more yards after contact than he does total rushing yards, which is obviously a sign that Ashton Jeanty isn't the problem, the offensive line is. So let's jump into a play where we see how bad this offensive line truly is playing for Ashton Jeanty. I apologize for the awful grainy footage, but that's kind of just what we've got to work with here from the Commanders and the Raiders. And you see Ashton Jeanty's O-line is getting pushed straight into him. He doesn't even have a chance to break that tackle and make a play because the Commanders' defense is pretty good at swarming the ball. So once your offensive line is pushed into the backfield in the way that Ashton Jeanty's is right here, you have no shot at all, right? Like, what do you reasonably want him to do, right? You're taught as a running back that if he pushes this way down, you're supposed to cut it back this way. But what happens here? We've got this guy. So your only other option would be, hey, let's take it straight through here. And if Jeanty were to do that, this guy's just going to tackle him from behind. So Jeanty's really in a lose-lose situation here. The most he can do is hope to take it this way like he did and hope his offensive lineman starts to win a little bit, and that's obviously not the case. Really hard for him to still get brought down, but like I said, they swarm to the ball, they make plays. And that's just an example of something that we cannot blame Ashton Jeanty for. That's a negative 3-yard loss that's obviously affecting his total running metrics after every game, the odds of the Raiders winning, but it has nothing to do with Jeanty and everything to do with this awful offensive line with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now we're going to show an example of Ashton Jeanty once again showing he isn't a bust. Watch that play right there by Ashton Jeanty. Now we're going to change it over to the end zone view. So once again here, we're under center. We've got a stretch. Just a great job by them opening up that hole, right? But Jeanty's going to punish the safety that comes down to try to tackle him. Running backs who are busts do not make these type of plays. I need the narrative to change on Ashton Jeanty. Quit calling him garbage. Quit saying Cam Scatterbo is better at football than Ashton Jeanty. Get away from your hot takes, and let's let the kid play behind an offensive line that blocks better, hopefully, throughout the season. When this Las Vegas Raiders offensive line blocks like this, you're going to see a completely different running back than when they block like they did on the play before. Let's jump back into one other play in this Chargers game to show you guys it wasn't just the Commanders. It's been all season long that this Raiders offensive line has been extremely inconsistent, having plays where they open up holes like that one right there, and what we're about to jump into here. This is going to be a -5-yard run by Ashton Jeanty here, and I really just want you to look at it to see how little of a choice he has whether he's able to pick up huge yardage gains, right? When your offensive line cannot block for you, when they get in your way and make you fall down, obviously that was a tight end there, Michael Mayer, but when your blockers up front aren't doing their job, you have no chance as an NFL running back. And people need to get that through their head. A running back is a production of their offensive line. A quarterback is a production of their offensive line, receivers, and running game. But what do you want him to do here? This is going to develop as a pretty good run. He doesn't hit the hole too fast. In fact, he takes a little hop step right there and just runs straight into his tight end because his tight end wasn't able to get across the formation quick enough. And why was he not able to get across the formation quick enough? Because the offensive lineman and the other tight end are getting absolutely manhandled on their blocks. And that's going to result in Ashton Jeanty falling down for -5 yards instead of picking up the huge gain he would have if he would have been able to jump this to the outside on the stretch play like you're supposed to. Like, this is a great play call if they don't get pushed back. If this tight end gets out here and blocks down on this safety, Ashton Jeanty is going to have a 30, 40, 50-yard gain here, maybe even a touchdown. But instead, because the blocking up front is terrible, he gets tackled in the backfield for -5 yards. And these stat nerds who only look at the stats and look at nothing else, no game film, no nothing, would say that Ashton Jeanty is a bust. So overall, what is my take? Ashton Jeanty is not a bust. We need to chill out a little bit, and we need to start watching film instead of looking at stats. Ashton Jeanty is going to be a very competent running back in this league as soon as his offensive line starts to play consistently good football. I couldn't imagine Ashton Jeanty behind the Ravens offensive line right now. The Lions offensive line, how they look this past game. There are a ton of teams around the league that if they had a running back like Ashton Jeanty, they would look borderline unstoppable. But Ashton Jeanty's on the Las Vegas Raiders, who have consistently been one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and their quarterback play isn't helping much right now. So calm the brakes down, let Ashton Jeanty finish this season out. Let's look at the advanced metrics, maybe if you want to look at stats. Let's look at the film, let's calm down and realize that Ashton Jeanty is the exact same guy he was at Boise State. He's just behind a bad offensive line with better players trying to tackle him. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and see you.